as doctors, I was never taught about fasting insulin. This single blood test would change the landscape of health in our country. The United States government could subsidize the blood test, and every doctor, if they knew how to interpret the blood test, would understand your soon-to-be father-in-law is insulin resistant. Oh, he's pre-diabetic. Oh, what's causing that? Now we have to address that. And the answer, I believe, is not metformin, right? It's not Ozempic. It's what is he eating that is causing him to be metabolically unwell? Because he didn't just get diabetic. Diabetic is not a genetic, it's not in your genes entirely. The predisposition is there. But this is another problem with Western medicine, right? His doctor is probably going to say, like, well, you're Mexican American. You're just going to be diabetic based on your genetics. This is the problem with all of it. We're just blind to lifestyle in medicine, and in dietetics, you saw this too. Like, we just don't understand how much what our patients are eating and how they're living affects their metabolic health. It's crazy. I went to medical school in Tucson, Arizona, and the Pima Indians are native to that area of Arizona. They have one of the highest rates of diabetes in the world. It's like 60 to 70%, right? Wow. But if you look back a few generations at pictures of Pima Indians, they're fit, they're ripped, and they're skinny. Yeah. What happened, right? They stopped eating their evolutionarily consistent diet. You go back 300 years, and you can put pictures of this in the podcast for people to see. Look at Pima Indians from the 1800s. They look like healthy humans.
Wow.
And now they're incredibly obese and incredibly diabetic. They have a predisposition to diabetes. We all have these chinks in our armor, right? We all have these predispositions. My weakness is eczema and allergy. Yours might be, who knows, right?
Mine is actually eczema too.
Okay.
I never had asthma, but yeah, eczema was a big one for me.
So we all manifest chronic illness differently, but we all swim in the same dirty water, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think Western medicine can't figure this out, because, you know, as a doctor, you're thinking, well, this patient has autoimmune thyroiditis. They have Hashimoto's. This patient has rheumatoid arthritis. This patient has psoriasis. This patient has diabetes. This person has lupus. They're all the same thing. It's all the same thing. And it's all fixable in the same way. And yet Western medicine says, there are 10,000 diagnoses for which I have 35,000 drugs. Look at me. How cool am I? And that's how pharma works, right? It's just like you name a disease and then you give a drug. And so, yeah, I think your father-in-law is likely getting a narrative that is not going to serve him well, but hopefully this type of thing, and you know, and your fiance can guide him in that way.
We've been doing that, actually. He just went home to visit him, and he completely just threw everything away in his pantry, took him on a grocery trip, and they were FaceTiming me like, what do we buy here? What kind of yogurt do we buy? And I was telling them, because they were trying to buy the low-fat yogurt that had sugar in it. And I was like, plain, full fat, like organic, like the cleanest one you can find, like things like that. I mean, the other issue is like where they live, some of this stuff is harder to find, you know, when there's this whole conversation that's happening right now online. And let me just be very clear. I'm not saying that I don't think that accessibility is an issue. I absolutely think accessibility is an issue, but I also believe that we are making it more, the conversation has become so conflated that now we're just saying that people have no control whatsoever. And it really pisses me off.
Yeah, so I was actually researching this, and the food deserts are interesting. So food deserts, for people that don't know, are just areas of the country where it's hard to get access to single ingredient foods.
Yeah.
There are a lot of grocery stores or places where you go to buy food and they don't even have fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
They might have meat, but it's mostly processed meat or sausages or something, but they don't have a lot of single ingredient meat, and they don't have a lot of single ingredient fruit and vegetables.
Or also another one that I've read too is that if people are not close to a grocery store and they're going to like their local 7-Eleven to get, you know, the little oranges and bananas that are there. I mean, they have barely any produce there.
Yeah. And so the reason that most of these food deserts exist, and this is actually pretty sad, is consumer choice. That these supermarkets used to sell fruits and vegetables and nobody bought them. And so they stopped selling them.
Makes sense.
Which is, I think that's an indictment of the food system. Mm-hmm. And it's saying, wait, if you're providing people food that is so addictive and so hyperpalatable that they no longer want to eat the foods that humans have eaten throughout our evolution, you've basically made drugs legal. You've basically created fake legal drugs in food so that humans have been reduced to just like, all we're gonna do is eat a Snickers and Cheetos and Takis and a Coke. That's crazy. Like, we need, at that level, I would argue there needs to be some government oversight. It's hard to walk it back. You can't close Pandora's box, but I mean, this is crazy. You know, when consumer choice is driving food deserts, we have a major problem.
Well, and we're now seeing signs of people they're highly addicted to these foods. I just read an article that was, I forgot what they named it. They're trying to name some new thing around ultra processed foods, where it's an addiction, and if you take the foods away from them, they start showing irritability.
Of course.
All these,
withdrawal.
They're literally having withdrawals, and it makes
food
sense.
withdrawal is real.
And it makes sense why when I go online or you go online and we say Oreos, they're not good for you, or Doritos, and we get just destroyed. Yeah. I'm like, oh, we're going after their drugs.
Yeah, people push back. Yeah, and they don't take it away from me.
I mean, it's crazy. It has become a full-blown addiction, and I think they're illegal drugs. So my question is then, what do we do about this? Because there is also that concern that, with the government, my opinion, it's like everything the government touches. I mean, look at what we were just talking about with heart disease and just the whole narrative around that. It's like anything the government touches, I feel like, just goes completely corrupted. So how do we find the middle ground in this?
Well, now, I mean, we're here in DC for the inauguration. You and I are both very hopeful that, regardless of Republican, Democrat, that this administration will bring people into office at the level of the FDA, the level of the USDA, the level of CMS, the level of the NIH, the level of Health and Human Services with Bobby Kennedy, that can begin to make meaningful change. Yeah. So this is our hope, because if you look at the problem, it's clearly connected with the government. I mean, the FDA is completely corrupt, receiving 47% of its funding from pharma. Like, this is wild. USDA guidelines community, 19 out of 20 members have ties to pharma and food industry. Like, of course, none of this is going to change. And so at a governmental top-down level, hopefully we'll see some reform. And, I've been talking to some of my friends about this, and we've had conversations with other folks that we're talking to at these events for the Make America Healthy Again movement, and just kind of asking questions like, what can you do? And some of the coolest ideas I've heard are around HSAs, health savings accounts. And I would love to see those almost have no cap, have pre-tax money that you can use to spend on healthy interventions. And then I would love to see HSA availability expanded. So I tweeted about this the other day. If you can use food stamp funding to buy junk food and soda, HSAs should be able to be used to buy single ingredient meat and produce. So if you could put aside $20,000 a year, and you could spend that money on meat, chicken, fish, eggs, milk, and vegetables and fruit, that would be amazing for Americans. Then you've actually incentivized people to buy healthy food. And then if you similarly actually do the right thing and stop the use of food stamps, the SNAP funding, to buy absolutely ultra-processed foods, you've really begun to change it from a governmental level. But we have to, and I think from my perspective, we have to incentivize good habits and disincentivize bad habits. I mean, cigarettes have a huge tax. How much is a pack of cigarettes today? $12? I don't know. I buy them every once in a while just to make videos with them, and I feel so guilty, like I'm a bad boy. I'm buying cigarettes, Courtney. I'm walking out of a store with like Marlboros. I've done this, and I'm like,
you're like, what if someone sees me?
Yeah, like this is so bad. And I kind of like smell it, and I'm thinking like, I don't know. I have no desire to smoke it, but I'm like, this is bad.
That's so funny.
It's so funny. I feel guilty about it, but I buy them, and I'm like, $12? This is crazy.
That is crazy.
Cigarettes are $12, but Coca-Cola is $2.50 for a liter.
And you can get it on food stamps, so you can get it from taxpayer funding.
You can't buy cigarettes with food stamps.
Exactly. So I think there does need to be something, some regulation around that.